Hi, this is Zara,
And this is Kate.
and this video is our first proper video which is going to be about revision strategies.
Specifically focused on the different subjects that we offer. And this is the list of our courses. We offer a variety of courses including A-Levels and BTECs. So for example, I take geography, maths and business.
And I take English Lit, History and Geography. So here is the list of our subjects in the order that we will be filming, so you can always skip ahead and find the subject that you want to look at to revise.
For performing arts, although it's a majorly practical based course, we do have coursework and logs which we complete for each unit. So we have the logs, which are basically like a diary that we keep up to date with after every lesson. It kind of helps us to evaluate what we've done in each lesson so that the exam board can see our progress. We also have reports in which we work on lesson by lesson. So some of our lessons are practical and some of them are theory based, and we get quite a lot of the work done in the lesson so that we have less to do when we go home, but having really good time management is really important so that we can ensure that we spread out our workload.
Theatre studies I revise by running lines with my parents, and a website I would recommend is Digital Theatre Plus.
My biggest tip for music is to stay on top of your coursework by studying in your free periods.
Biggest tip for revising A-Level Media Studies is to make flashcards on the theories.
Okay, so for photography, the best methods for me to stay ahead of work and decrease the amount of catch up you have to do is timetable your day. So any free period that you have where the resources are open to you, the classroom's free, timetable that into your day and make sure that you go to that and stick with it, because then you can have the best chances of staying ahead of your work. And then the best websites that I found to help me with photography was definitely Pinterest. Search in your photo shoot plan, and they really help with finding reference images and images from your photographers that you're working from for research pages, transcriptions. They're really good for that. You can pop them into your PowerPoint and it's really good.
So the way I keep on track with art is mostly about how I use the room. So in the classroom, that's where I'll focus on my kind of big, more ambitious pieces. And then at home, that's kind of the time spent on sketching, planning, seeing what sorts of mini ideas I have and what I want to pursue, like maybe an artist I want to develop, etc. Then like at college, that will be when I kind of like bring those bigger ideas and turn them into something. If I ever find myself getting stuck during my coursework or not kind of differing about and not really sure where to go, what I typically do is I'll do a sort of brainstorming page, either in my sketchbook or outside of it, and just kind of jot down everything I've done so far, my kind of thoughts or different areas I could then go into, and kind of just trying to orient myself and make sure I'm focusing on what I've done and where it can go.
For geography, I would recommend using a range of sources, for example the big green and white Hodder textbook.
For theology, my biggest tip would be essay plans and active recall. For politics, my biggest tip is probably flashcards and essay plans.
For history, my best tip to revisers, make flashcards.
Something I do for history particularly is for the Britain and Russia sides of the course, I make thematic timelines. So for example, I take like economic policy and would split it up into all the leaders and then list all the things they did, all prime ministers, and that sort of really helps you map it out in your head so you can see it. And because, particularly for Britain, quite a lot of the policies are quite similar, so it sort of helps you separate it out and work out, yes, this was then and that was then. And it just makes it clearer and helps you remember it. And then I take another separate sheet of paper and write down all the stats I can remember. So, inflation rose 400%, and then just learn that. So I've got sort of the basis and then the basics and then the more specific information.
My favourite way of revising for chemistry and biology is doing practice questions over and over again. For chemistry, I do exam questions, so I use PMT, so Physics and Maths Tutor, to run through practice exam questions, and they have a bunch of practice papers on there as well. And then for biology, I use PMT again, and also use Miss Estroke on YouTube, who's really good. She does videos breaking down exam criteria and exam questions, and also does revision videos on like different parts of the course.
So how I revise for physics is I do a lot of past paper practice. We have an after school session on a Tuesday, which we get to run through the content with our teachers, and we get lots of practice papers and past paper questions set for it that we can go through in class. I preferably like to use Save My Exams and Physics and Maths Tutor to help me with the content that I don't understand.
My biggest tip for revising in computer science at A-Level is to make sure you keep on top of your Smart Revise. With exam questions in advanced mode to answer and lots of terms to make sure that you remember, it's the best option you have to staying on top of getting your A grades.
For applied science, I like to use Physics and Maths Tutor to revise Unit 1 as well as free science lessons. These are really effective because they help you to really ensure that you understand all of the content fully and that you can apply your knowledge.
Okay, so I do sociology, and the best way to revise sociology is to use essay plans and then using the textbook for your content. So yeah.
For economics, I revise best by doing past papers, and Mr. Carroll runs intervention, which is also really good because we can go through it with him.
I do economics, and I would say to keep on top of your notes and to practice exam technique and questions.
For health and social care, I recommend doing as many exam questions as possible.
So for business, I use Tutor to You, and then I do practice papers and then notes of Tutor to You.
For law, to revise, I use Flip Law, which are videos which go through all the content for my exam board. There's also a Wednesday afternoon revision session in which we get to go through and revise with our teacher. And I often do a lot of past papers because with essay subjects, getting those questions in is really, really helpful.
For psychology, I find it really useful to go to the Wednesday sessions because the teachers answer any questions that you have.
Psychology, and the advice I would give to the Year 12 is to make flashcards for the shorter mark questions and to do essay plans for the longer mark questions.
For Spanish, I normally use vocab Quizlets. They're very important, just vocabulary. And also finding mind maps and facts and statistic websites are really important for Spanish speaking, which I put into Quizlets to do for my speaking exams.
I do double BTEC sport, and the advice I would give the Year 12s is to stay on top of your coursework and don't leave it to the last minute.
My biggest tip for PE revision would be to go over past exam questions and just as many practice questions as possible so that you can learn the mark schemes and what the examiners want to hear for the questions.
For maths, I use past papers from Maths and Physics Tutor, which are really useful because they have all of the marking through and the answers. The other way I revise is by using haberdashery YouTube videos. They have the entire spec of every single subject for maths and physics, and they're really useful because they have a step-by-step way of answering all the questions. So if I'm not sure what to do, I can just go back to YouTube and watch the video.
The way I used to revise for core maths was on OneNote. Our teacher would put questions put together because it's not a popular course. So they'd put questions together so you can just do those. And doing that over, there's about 5 papers, and doing all of that would probably make you pretty good for the overall test. So just do that and do homework, that's it.
Hi, I'm Bert, and I take further maths, and what I like to do to revise is complete the past papers. I'm up to doing 2018, 2019 and 2023, so I've got 3 more years left to do, and hopefully we'll be working through those in the next couple of weeks.
The
The way I like to revise for English literature is I quite like making mind maps, so I'll have a theme, like often taken from a past paper question, for example futility, honour, and I'll put it in a bubble, and I'll do different legs with quotes I can remember, with different areas I might argue, perhaps any like critical material I might like to use in the exam. And what I do is I then use those mind maps to develop my ideas, and I'll then do essay plans, except I usually won't write the essays because that's a lot more intimidating. So what I'll do is I'll write the introduction, my rough plan, some quotes I'd like to use, and then the conclusion, and then leave it to fill in later on if I feel comfortable.
My biggest revision tip for English language is YouTube and practice questions.
After hearing a range of tips from all our different students, we hope that you found something that resonates with you, that you can implement into your revision habits and your revision timetable.
Thank you for watching.
And we hope that you come back for our next video.